So I switch it up. Use the Cop and Carnage, even though we didn't advertise it as a Cop and Carnage.
Why not, man? Why not?
With Fahy on the show, it was only, the kind of guy I am, man. I'm very respectful of the community, man. Always helping out the community. People, welcome back to, I guess, the first official post-match Carnage of the season. I know we done bits for the preseason friendlies, whatnot, but they don't really count. Yesterday, was it yesterday? No, the day before was the first real game, competitive game. Premier League. Welcome Arnie Slot. Welcome Liverpool Football Club. Welcome Ipswich. We'll be discussing all of that. Welcome Conroy. Bloody hell, Conroy. How you, pal? You've been. I see your Instagram pictures, looking very refreshed. Traveling up and down the country. Sunny England. You visited sunny London. I mean, for you guys, right? This is like an exotic holiday, right?
I know you're joking, right? But the week I went, it was 28 degrees. I thought I was, Alexa, what is the weather in London? I thought there was a mistake. I'm literally packing jumpers, got to take, just in case it rains. And it was like I was in Orlando. It was roasting. And to be fair, Grizz, I think the week I left, it got even sunnier. I think it was 30 degrees. So we had a great time, done the usual touristy stuff, went down up to the Sky Garden. That was brilliant, to be honest. I know it's very touristy, but it was cool. But yeah, it's been good, mate. I said I brought the sun with me to London, but I don't know if that was quite it, bringing any sun from Scotland. But we do what we can.
You take the credit. You take the credit where you can. You take it where you can. Talking about holidays and exertions and bloody hell, this guy's always traveling up and down the world, and taking pictures, showing off on Instagram and all sorts, man. Like, what's going on, man? How you been? It's been a while.
Grizz, I've had a shocker the past week and a half, man.
Go on.
Honestly, I've been bedridden, sofa ridden. I cracked my toe playing football. So right. So imagine you're Gerrard. You put a through ball in between both centre backs. I run through and go. I'm Torres, right? Okay. So I'm about to dink the keeper, and the keeper comes sliding out. And when I dink the ball, his knee clatters into my foot, and my big toe goes over my second toe, and it's stuck. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Ouch, man.
Yeah, so I spent 6 hours in A&E and then to crack it back into place.
I've just said you've been traveling up and down the country every time I see you, and now I've just jinxed you badly, man.
Yeah, I'll go Turkey next month, but for now I'm bedridden, sofa ridden, can't really walk. But yeah, I'm here with you guys.
It's about time you rested, man. Relax yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's good to be back, man. It's good to be back. It's good to have Premier League back. It's good to talk football again. And Conroy, Saturday afternoon, lunchtime kickoff, lo and behold, Ipswich, promoted team. It's always a bit of a wonder where the world's eyes are on us. The world's eyes are on a early scalp, Premier League shock. Everyone builds it up. Arnie Slot. This is going to be very awkward. And I tell you what, the atmosphere was cracking. Shout out Portman Road and the crowd. It was a cracking atmosphere. Was you nervous going into this one?
Yeah, definitely, Grizz, because I feel like I get mixed up, but was it Klopp, the 3-3 with Watford, where Watford just promoted that year as well? I think that was the first game of the season where Salah scores his first goal, first game for the team. I feel like early kickoffs are their own conversation, but the first game of the season, new promoted team, I'm always a little bit apprehensive because even how good you are as a team and how cohesive you are, you're not going to be exactly fully gelled yet when a new manager comes in. And on top of that, when you've got a Kieran McKenna squad with Ipswich, who've done very well, back-to-back promotions, even from Arnie Slot's point of view, he's not going to have as much, well, I'd assume he's not going to have as much information on how they're going to play because he's not seen them in the Premier League before. Are they going to play the same way like Burnley did last year under Vincent Kompany, just stick to it, or are they going to adapt? So there's a lot going into that, especially, Ipswich getting in the Premier League as well. It's like the atmosphere, as you said, it's going to be exhilarating, is that the way? But it's going to be on top of you.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit apprehensive, and I feel like we're going to discuss that. But the first half probably showed you of what can happen with those type of fixtures.
100%, Fahy. I don't know what your mood was like, but I was nervous because of I didn't want us to be the scalp, and I didn't know how it would, because you know what, when you got a new manager and there's already doubts that is replacing a legend. So is he all it? We know we've seen a bald Dutchman, absolute fraud across the road, right? And we're thinking, okay, have we got another one? And then you know how these things can snowball into pure negativity if the first game didn't go its way. So was that nerves? Was your nerves because of that? Because surely it wasn't in terms of 11 versus 11, right? It was more the occasion can get hold of you. A few of our players only got back about 10 days ago, and he obviously went out and picked them. So while you discuss that, I'll bring up the lineup anyway, because he played quite a few different players in pre-season, but then suddenly dropped them all for the big guns. Did you expect that?
No, I agree with what Conroy and yourself have basically said. I felt a bit apprehensive, and I felt apprehensive for two reasons. Number one, it was the all eyes on me slot, 12:30 kickoff, Saturday lunchtime, TNT Sports. They love it. They love giving us those kind of games versus a newly promoted team away from home, right? With a new manager. All of these things kind of come into play. And then when you think about the last two times our first game of the season have been against newly promoted teams away from home, they've both ended in draws. So you had 3-3 versus Watford. You had 2-2 versus Fulham 2 seasons ago. And I'm quite superstitious. So I was like, the omens don't seem too good. And then obviously, you then look at the lineup as well. A few of these players only recently came back. So I was scared a little bit, but it was nothing to do with the quality of the team that we were facing. No disrespect to Ipswich. It was more just the occasion and all the other different things that come with it.
It's true, though, because Conroy, we look at the lineup, right, and we know he's been playing Tsimikas every single game, right? We know he's been playing Connor Bradley every single game. Kwanzaa was a mainstay, that's fine. Virgil was always going to come back captain. McAllister looked, and we're going to get into it, just only recently come back after a hectic summer, man, obviously on the back of a non-stop Liverpool first season. Szoboszlai's been there from the start. Luis Diaz goes straight back in. So was there about 3 or 4 signings? 3, we wish. 3 or 4. Was there 3 or 4 players that you thought, unsure? Or did you think, these are his big dogs, they're going to go straight back in?
To be honest, Grizz, I think one specifically, and it's quite apt you're coming to me, but the Andy Robertson one, I was very surprised. I mean, Andy Robertson's played, if I'm wrong, but I think 60 minutes in pre-season. He had an injury, and he looked unfit in that match, obviously. So I was surprised that he came in, especially when Tsimikas is in a rhythm. He's been playing well. He's obviously match fit as well and played in the system. I understand the conversation about, Robertson's experience, completely get that. And we're going to speak about the first half, but that was the one that I thought I didn't really understand the decision making, because it's not like you're dropping Robertson. He's played, I think, 60 minutes in pre-season, coming back from an injury. So that, to me, I wasn't sure about that. And what I would say about Costa Tsimikas is he has shown over the years his biggest issues are probably he's inconsistent. That's his biggest problem. His attacking ability has always been there. It's just his consistency. He's had great pre-seasons in the past. I remember the 2 friendlies at Anfield a couple of years ago, gets the unbelievable assist for Minamino. But in general, his biggest problem has been his consistency. And he's always going to have probably a weakness defensively. But I felt in this game he would be more suited, because you're going to back that you're going to have at least a bit of the ball. And he's in a good rhythm right now. So it made sense. So that was the one I was quite surprised with, to be honest. The rest of the team, not as much. I think you can look at that and see it's good enough there. I think the Robertson Tsimikas conversation is going to be, as the season goes on, when they're both fully fit, there'll be a competition there. Well, unless any signings happen, but got to be realistic. I can't see that being an area that we focus on at the moment.
Right. Was there anything that concerned you with the lineup, and was you surprised with any of the lineup, or did you think, big dogs, everyone's going to come back as it is, how it is? Because a few of them were undercooked on paper, and it turned out on the pitch as well.
Yeah, no, totally. I think my only worry really was with Robertson. Again, similarly, as mentioned, he's not been used to this way of playing football. He's hardly had any minutes in this style of football. And I just assumed that Tsimikas would start because he's been the favoured left-back so far throughout pre-season, right? Other than that, nothing else really worried me at all. It was only just the surprise of Robertson starting, which, again, isn't a bad thing. He is the better left-back. And I'm sure we're going to discuss how he fared in the first half.
Gravenberch starting over Curtis Jones, anyone?
I don't mind because it was Ipswich, and I understand that physicality was needed. How that goes on throughout the season, again, time will tell.
Yeah, people are saying that Gravenberch was selected on merit and whatever, and then there was no favoritism. I find it difficult not to think there was favoritism with obviously the Dutch connection, with him knowing about Gravenberch, because you've got to remember Gravenberch was a wonder kid in Holland. You know, as a 17-year-old, he was coming through the ranks, and Slot would have known all about him. Even though Curtis Jones had a very good preseason, came back early, impressed. He missed out on one game, didn't he? Did he have an injury, guys? Did he miss? Yeah, I should know because I was bloody on tour with them. I think he missed one game. Maybe that set him back. But Conroy, I think there's a bit of a competition going there between Curtis Jones and Gravenberch, because you would assume McAllister is going to be pretty much a mainstay. But that's great, healthy competition between the other three, right? So you had Szoboszlai in there, you had Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and Curtis Jones for the other slot, so to speak. Oh, we're going to use this slot pun a lot, aren't we?
Yeah. No, do you know what? I get what you're saying, Grizz, because you can maybe turn around and say based on merit, but it is pre-season. Maybe it is a favourite in the sense of he's already looked at the squad before he's taken the job or just before he's met the players and felt that that's a player that he can take from this potential wonder kid to actually being a consistent top performer. So maybe there is favouritism, but before he's seen them play, Grizz, he's maybe just hanging his hat on Gravenberch because he feels that if he works with this player and gives him consistent games and coaches him through it, that he can be if not a starting six, but always competing in this team and can hit a ceiling higher than Jones. I'm maybe not looking too far into that, but it does seem that he prefers. I feel like he thinks Gravenberch can go to another level, but it's still early days. I think he has been quite impressive, but it's quite a small sample size. I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself because this is what we do. We beat Ipswich in a nice comprehensive win. It's the first win any new manager since Graham Souness in the first game, and we're all like, we're going to win the league. And I myself was a bit like that on Saturday, but just need to be a little bit more level-headed as I do.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with being level-headed. Sometimes it helps, actually. People, smash the like up as you enter the building. Thank you very much for all tuning in. I know it's a bit of a different time for me. Don't normally do an 8 p.m. kickoff, but I've got the big 6 later on, so I thought I'd try and fit this in and trying to give you content as much as possible. My God, I'm working overtime for you lot. There was something about, we talk about sort of Robertson and Kieran, who's a good pal of mine. Kieran, where you been, man? Looks like you unfollowed me on Twitter as well. Bloody hell. Do I piss you off that much? But it's good to see you back on in my chat, which is good. I see a lot about Robbo declining, but I think it's a bit unfair, he says. I just don't feel Robbo and Diaz click, which is to be expected when you remember AR26 and Mane knew each other's game inside out. We can't, how long before they do click? They've been together, what, 2 seasons now, full seasons, right?
They're not going to click.
We can't use that.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I'll be honest. They're not going to click. They're just different style of footballers. I think Robbo is a pass it and go kind of defender that likes to overlap. Diaz kind of holds on to the ball a little bit longer, doesn't really make use of the overlap at times.
Yeah,
the chemistry just isn't there. We've waited 2 seasons for it. I personally can't see it ever improving that much. At times, it then makes it look bad on Robbo in a sense, where it seems like, oh, is the issue Robbo here? Is he like not meshing well with Diaz? But I just don't think it's either of their faults. It's just they're different style of players, and they expect different things from their partner in front and behind.
Kieran says I unfollowed him first. I'll have to have a word with my admin. I don't control my account all the time, I'll have to have a word. What's happened there, Kieran? I would never unfollow you on purpose. So I don't know what's happened there. That must be an error and a mistake, definitely. But I hope you and the family are doing well. Conroy Talk says, smash the likes. Gomez update says, Ali, we will get there, my friend. My God, some of you have amazing levels of impatience. Conroy, some fans have amazing levels of impatience as well, because that first half was, what's the word? I don't know. Me and you often struggle to use the right words at the right time. So luckily we've got Fahi, who's far more eloquent and in terms of his usage of
Wordsmith, Fahy.
Wordsmith. Yeah, I don't know what. At the game, I expected it, so I wasn't impatient. I knew exactly how this game was going to go. It was
You've
hot.
seen it. You've watched football for a long time, Grizz. You know what it's like, mate. There's patterns, and no, I'll let you carry on. But you've seen it before, mate. It's just like you can just see that there's certain games. Probably 9 times out of 10, it's going to be cagey, or they're going to try and. I'm not going to assume they're going to be like that all season, but they're going to try and go against your weaknesses if you've got any. And because I've not seen this Arne Slot team, Ipswich were always going to be physical. That was always going to be, I thought in my head, that was going to be a key. Because we had discussions a couple of weeks ago, Grizz, about transition. Is there going to be issues there? Are they going to be, tough enough? We'll speak about what happens at half time because of that, which is brilliant management. But I definitely feel like you could see that coming. And I think you're at the game, Grizz, but you probably knew there's not going to be much happening in this first half.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much happening, Fahi, but was you surprised with the lack of happening, if you know what I mean? I'm going to be honest. Right? I thought the senior big dogs were probably our worst players. Now, obviously, we're going to speak about Kwanzaa's situation right now, but I thought Allison, Robertson, Virgil, and McAllister were probably our worst performers in that opening 20 minutes. They were so sloppy and so slow on the ball, I was getting annoyed.
Okay, so this goes well to what I was going to bring up to you because you didn't watch the game via TV, you watched it on the pitch. Now, when you were watching them pass the ball about and whatever they were doing, what did you think the issue was? Because the commentators on the pitch made a really good point because I was worried as well. I'm sure every other fan was. They were wondering, we just seem a bit slow. It seems a bit tepid. We're not moving the ball quick enough. And then Jermaine Genius brought up a really good point 15 minutes in, and he
That's not
basically
like
said,
him, bloody hell, praise for Jermaine Genius.
I know. But he brought it up and he said, look, the pitch is really dry and the ball's not moving very well. And it did seem to be the case because the moment he said it, it made a lot of sense. We were playing the passes down on the floor and everything, and it was just taking a little bit longer to reach each other. And obviously, that's when Ipswich would kind of cut off some of our passes, and then we would catch Ipswich out as well. And it just made a load more sense. What were you thinking when you were watching it from the stands? Because I was thinking the same thing, but again, when the moment the pitch stuff was explained, I was like, okay, this does make a little bit more sense.
Maybe. I mean, I wasn't aware of that, so nice one for bringing that up. But I thought I was looking at the overall picture, and I thought, obviously, we're instilled a new system. Obviously, we're playing with a 4-2 build-up. So, for example, the back four were playing very narrow. Robertson and Trent weren't going out wide to give options. They were playing almost next to each other. And then you had McAllister and Gravenberch trying to collect the ball. I just thought it's teething problems, like early teething problems. And I thought they were playing man-to-man, very physically up against our forwards. So Salah, Diaz, and Jota, every time the ball was being looked to play into them, they were like very, very physical and up against them. And I thought it's natural that it's going to take us time, A, to work their system out, and B, to enhance the one we're trying to play. It's new. As I said, he hasn't had these guys for more than 2 weeks as a whole squad. We know he's had them in preseason, but that was Elliott, Jones, and Carvalho, and a few others. This set of players he hasn't had for more than 2 weeks. So that coinciding with the energy and the high and the crowd behind Ipswich, that's what I thought it's come down to. The chances, I don't know if you guys want to call them chances, but a couple of transitions they had were from unforced errors. Am I right, or did I miss something? I don't know. Conroy, did you?
I think the biggest, because I rewatched the extended highlights earlier, so I feel like there was a lot of kind of close moments, nearly moments for Ipswich, but probably the biggest chance they had, it was see when we had a corner, Szoboszlai's shot gets blocked and McAllister goes for the rebound, loses the ball, they break. I think Amari Hutchinson gets in, passes a little bit wide, and to be fair, I think Trent absolutely flies across a good bit of pace, hurdles him off a bit, he cuts in, but it's a comfortable save for Allison. But I wouldn't say there was any clear-cut chances where you're like, Allison's pulled a worldie here. I feel like we've done okay. But again, it's the opening game of the season. The crowd's up for it. There's going to be stuff like that. I feel like it'd be very surprising if the first 45 minutes there wasn't a few moments of, oh, you should be there, or a little bit apprehension. I think that's normal, to be honest.
It's so perfect that you mentioned the corner, and from our corner was their biggest attack or most dangerous attack. Because Fahi, I could not believe my eyes at the way we set up from the very first corner. And this is definitely a new tactic. Fahi tried to explain probably the thinking. I know obviously it's difficult because we're not bloody slotting coaches, right? But what is the thinking? I called it interesting tactic. No one defending on our corners. That actually is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and that is Robertson. So Robertson's our fullback is taking the corner, and Trent, the other fullback, is the only man outside of the opposition box, Fahi.
Yeah.
Brave, mad, quirky, clever.
I think it's all of those things potentially. When I was watching it, I was looking at the box and I was like, "Wow, there seems to be a lot of red shirts in here." And I started counting. I was like, "Hold on, there's 9 men here. What's going on?" Well, there's 8 men here. Sorry, and then you can see Robbo there, and I was like, "Okay, Trent must be far back." But then obviously, the moment the ball came out, you realise Trent is on the edge of the box. I'm like, "Oh my god! If they turn it, we're done for." And obviously, we saw what happened next. I could only think the logic here was they possibly saw how Ipswich defend corners and potentially knew that they only had one guy who was really strong in the air, and they thought they'd try and take advantage. And possibly this may not be the route we go down every single game, and it was just something we were trying against a team that, again, I'm speaking out of ignorance possibly, they weren't the greatest aerially, and we were just trying to take advantage. That's all I can hope for, because obviously what it led to was an attack to Ipswich, and Trent was running for his life. I've never seen that man run so fast before. Honestly, I was like, wow, he was trying so hard.
Honestly, I'm not joking, guys. Fahi, I'm so with you. I've never seen Trent sprint that fast, which I was quite encouraged by, to be honest with you, because that's one of the things I'm finding out about. Like, we're going to go on to Trent chat, but one of the criticisms Conor is about his tracking and his lack of almost desire and energy sometimes. But what's your thinking? So far, he's given his thinking on the tactical ploys, because we'd done this until it was 1-0. At 1-0, then we decided to put 2 people at the back. Is this something that we're going to persist with? Do you think we looked at their attack and thought not much pace, we'll still be able to counter their counter? Or is this, I don't know, is this horses for courses? I don't know. Conrad, have you got a theory?
I don't want to jump the gun on it, but I see when Arne Slot got announced, I was a bit like, not sure. It's still the case, but I have to admit, I'm impressed by his attention to detail, and not to be like, these tactical nerds and say it like that, because there's lots of kind of, different factors in football. But it does seem to be, there's a few things we're going to discuss. He does seem to just analyse so much, and I think it's more game by game. So you'll look at, and as much as this seems a bit mad, Grizz, I love this stuff because I get fed up with the kind of norms and predictability in football. Everyone does that because that's what everyone does. Even like when people, it might not be statistically backed, but even when we tried that thing, we had 5 different runners coming from outside the box into the box. Even though that might not lead to a goal, it gets a team thinking. You're not being so predictable all the time. And I do find that part of it fascinating. I would say in this instance, though, see, unless you're N'Golo Kante, right? Trent's N'Golo Kante, you can do that. Like prime N'Golo Kante, he can probably catch that and cover that much ground. But I think it may be game by game, analyse the opposition to look at their weaknesses, and I've always thought that was a good thing. Like, you shouldn't ever be so arrogant that you don't have to analyse a team to see where their weaknesses are as well. So I do find it impressive. I don't know if you'll get as good a picture like this the rest of the season. It may just be the Ipswich one. Because I would add as well, see the chance they get, it's actually poor from us because Szoboszlai hits it right at the defender, but McAllister has a chance. He has the ball and he miscontrols it. So you could even argue that was our fault. That wasn't the set piece. That was we should have retained possession in that position. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. We can have that corner watch with Grizz at games. Corner watch.
What, that is something to be kept an eye on. I am going to actually watch that intriguingly. I agree with both of you. I think it's a game by game basis. It might be some high level analysis of the opposition. I can't imagine us setting up like that against Arsenal, for example, rapid on the counter. Do you know what I mean? Martinelli and Saka.
Yeah, of course. Do you know who it reminds me of, Grizz? Do you know, just to jump in, do you remember when Bournemouth first got promoted to Premier League? Eddie Howe, it wasn't exactly like that, but Bournemouth were actually, because obviously they didn't have, there are probably a lot of players playing above their stations, probably championship level players. They'd done a lot with set pieces from corners like that, where they'd have fake movement and maybe a player would come short, but then they'd fire it low across the box. It's not exactly the same, but I don't know if you guys agree. I find that interesting when people do that because it's gets that team thinking. Like Trent's against Barcelona, you know, the Origi. That is just quick thinking, and I know that's a kind of exceptional moment. I think it's good to have that because then the other team's not sure what you're going to do. So hopefully we'll see more. And the overall thing, I don't just mean like defending with Trent against 5 players going forward.
Yeah, a big up Grizz and the panel. Smash the likes, chat, get this man to 50k. Elvis Presley lookalike is in the building. Big up Ganto. I don't know. There's much more to talk about that first half. I'm not going to lie, people. It was pretty much a drab affair, as I said, and I tweeted at halftime. If they continue with this energy and pressing and levels of desire, then they need all to be. They all need to be tested at full time, not just one random test. I want them all tested, bro, because there's no way they can keep this up. And so it turned out. But was it them not being able to keep it up, or was it the tactical decision of replacing Kwanzaa with Konate? Because first and foremost, give me your opinion on that. Did you agree with that? Was Kwanzaa having a rough time on the screen like it looked like on the pitch as well, like I thought? Because I called it 10 minutes before halftime. I said Konate is going to come on in the second half. Was it harsh? Did you like this call by Slot? Does it show a ruthless side to him? What did you make of that?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was harsh at all. Again, if you're looking at our defenders in the first half, Robbo and Kwanzaa were having the toughest time. Robbo was kind of expected due to him just coming back. Kwanzaa, it wasn't as expected, and I just felt as if Delap was getting the better of him in the air, and he was troubling him. So I think Kwanzaa made a lot of sense. Again, I don't know if you noticed, but by the 40th minute, I think after the final Kwanzaa error in the first half, Konate started warming up straight away. So it was very apparent that Konate was going to come on for the second half. I don't think it's unfair. If anything, I'm happy that Slot was decisive enough to make that decision.
The young player element. Would he have done that to Verge?
But Virgil wouldn't end up with 50% duel rate in the first half.
What I'm saying
That's
is,
the difference. It wouldn't happen, right? So it's one of these things that we're just kind of mentioning. End of the day, Kwanzaa was one of the weak points for that game. It is what it is, and Konate came on and he did a fantastic job. That being said, Ipswich were much more tired in the second half. They didn't try and trouble Konate as much as they tried to trouble Kwanzaa. They didn't attempt that direct ball to Delap either. So again, you're kind of comparing apples and pears here. Ultimately, Konate did a fine job when he came on, so it is what it is. In terms of the approach itself, I think it's a mixture of two things. I don't think it's just because Konate came on. I think Ipswich did put a hell of a lot into the first half. Yeah. They really, really tried to get the crowd, and they did a fantastic job in the first half. They tried to get the crowd going. They were energetic, covering every blade of grass possible on the pitch. But again, we knew in the second half, if that's the case, it's just not possible to maintain that for 90 minutes. We've seen so many other teams gas out after 50, 60 minutes, and it's the exact same thing that happened again. And like Slot has said in his press conferences and in his interviews, it's not about going gung-ho, gun for gun with each other. It's about waiting for the right moments, waiting for the opportunities. And that's what we did. And ultimately, from 50 minutes onwards, there were plenty of opportunities in front of us, and we were just ticking them off, just finding spaces, finding opportunities to create chances. Jota missed a sitter, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and then it got much better.
Do you know what, Conrad? Obviously, again, people want to see proactivity on the bench. Tactically, you've always been an advocate of, you want to see innovative changes, in-game changes. You know, one of the criticisms of maybe the previous Slot were that they were a bit slow with their changes, but this worked a treat. Trent became inverted, extra man midfield. Talk to me what you saw from a tactical point of view in that second half that really put us in control.
Yeah, I think Fahy's bang on. Obviously, Ipswich definitely slowed down, but I feel like you have to. It just shows the man and his team watching that game. saw a weakness and saw an area that they could improve on. And as well, if you're Ipswich and you're after in that first half, it's still level, and then you see KHANAGE, who, let's be honest, in the air as well. I'm not saying he's not had poor games, but he is a very strong player, and that's one of his biggest factors of his game. To do that and to try and go again, I feel like that's really, really good tactical management. Like, that's bang on. I can't think of. I've tried to think earlier of managers in their first game who you could argue were not single-handedly, but they were so important. The factor what they'd done was so determinant of the game. Like, their change, it wasn't an injury, it wasn't he got forced to do it. He made a change at halftime, which most managers don't do nowadays. They'll probably wait till 60 minutes to keep everyone on side. So I think that deserves serious plaudits. So I was impressed by that, and impressed by the way he looks at his squad like it's a squad, not like 11 players. We have this fascination of 11 players. This is not 1994, right? Football is 15, 16 players, and you're going to have different players who suit against different teams. So a Kwanzaa, maybe in the future, at Anfield against, let's say, Southampton, straight off it, but then maybe Arsenal away, KHANAGE's better for that game. Just examples. So I think this is a really good marker for Slot. I think tactically as well, allowing Trent to be inverted. There's been lots of chats on this channel and lots of channels in summer about how we're going to utilise Trent. We're going to play him in midfield. We're going to, play him as an orthodox fullback, like he used to, or play him in this role. I feel like, to me, there's still that flexibility between being an orthodox right back and then being inverted, but it just shows you, see in this system, see when it clicks, he's got that weapon, because there's maybe 5 people who can pass like him, 5-10 people in order. I'd say 2 or 3 in the Premier League. It's just on a different level, the passing ability he's got, and that just unlocked it. And it unlocked a lot of things, because especially through the quick passing, the way we're just beating them in transition, just cutting them open, it was outstanding. And again, laid a marker with Slot, saw a weakness with Kwanzaa, right, KHANAGE, warm up, come on, there you go. And then we scored 2 goals quite quickly in the second half. So I think it's brilliant management, to be honest.
Funny, not only the change of personnel, and which was obviously we saw that, but the change of tactic, which he alluded to afterwards, I was gassed. Not the fact that we beat Ipswich, but the fact that he's not a one-trick pony. So what he alluded to was, what he spoke about was, even though I've been professing kill them with passes, death by passes, he said, I saw that they were playing man-to-man, like I said as well. They were very physical. And I said, listen, you don't need to play short passes if that's the case. Use the weapons that we've got at our disposal and then play it. Once we switched tactics, Ipswich couldn't live with us. Fine. Was that encouraging for you? And then please talk to me about what you thought of Gravenberch in that second half.
Yeah, I think I'm similar to Conroy in the sense of I'm on the fence about Slot's appointment. Obviously, we don't know enough about him. We're going to get to learn a lot. And I think this was a good marker and a good indication of what he's about as a manager when things aren't going perfectly. And my worry was, at halftime, was that we were just going to continue down the same path, playing the exact same type of football, just hoping that it works out. We've seen this happen before with Brendan Rodgers in 2012, 2013, where he would play the exact same type of football over and over again, even when it's not working out, because it's his ethos, it's his way of playing. He needs to drum it into the players' heads. And obviously, it used to irritate us as fans, right? And thankfully, that wasn't the case here. He knew the quality that we do have as an 11. He knew that if we need to switch it up, we have the capabilities of switching it up. We're used to playing this way. We can be a bit more direct. And thankfully, we did go a bit more direct. So it eased my worries of the type of manager he is, because it would have just scared the hell out of me if we just continued down that path for 90 minutes. And even if we would have won, I would have learned a lot about him as a manager, thinking, okay, he's going to be one of those stubborn managers that just sticks to his principles of how he plays football. But thankfully, that wasn't the case. Your second question about Gravenberch, I thought Gravenberch was good, all things considered. It's not a problem. I think my question mark
concern.
Yeah, exactly. My concern here with that midfield and with Gravenberch in general is we are fine being front-footed as midfielders trying to chase the ball, right? The issue is the moment we have to react to an attack. And my worry and question mark is our midfield the right type of midfield to win the ball back? Because we can be front-footed to close down angles, close down space, to get hold of the ball. But when the going's on the other way and we're trying to chase back and we're trying to win the ball back, is this the right midfield for that? And I think that's my question mark.
I think that's everyone's question mark. But, and I just want to, let's just stop on that, because we can, everyone's talked about goals and everything else, but I just want a few seconds, I want to rack your brains and chat. Help us out if you think we're struggling with this part, right? Fahi, I agree with you. And that has been my biggest grievance last season and over the summer, in terms of because even if you get, because everybody wants this attacker, number 8, number 10, whatever. I said all summer, give me 2 defensive-minded players in this team or squad, and I'll be happy with the summer. But make sure they're defense-minded first, as in they think defense first. Because I've said it again and again. I don't think this squad's got enough defense-thinking first players. They're all attack-minded. Even the likes of Kwanzaa and Virgil think forward first, man. Trent thinks forward first, man. McAllister, all of these guys only, and I worked out only Konate.
No one wants to protect the ball.
No, Endo, Konate, and Robertson, in my opinion, were the only ones that think defense first. Honestly, that's and Gomez when he plays, whatever, in the squad. Everyone else is just forward thinking. So what Fahi says, Conroy, is that because to me it looks like there's 2 ways of fixing that, or the two most obvious way of fixing that is increase the level of physicality in your team, like make more buy more players, bring in more players that are physically able to do that, cover ground, cover space, physical battles, win your duels, or change it structurally, which he's also trying to implement with 2 people in the pivot most times, with not both fullbacks bombing on all the time. Which way do you think we're going? Because obviously the obvious question is, are we going to buy a 6 DM? It's obvious he's not looking for that kind of player that Fahi's, I think, referring to, or I wanted as well. He's going down a structural, we defend as a team route, which was pretty much Jurgen Klopp's philosophy. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, I get what you're saying there, Grizz. I feel like, to me, Slot's philosophy or principle, and you look at Zubamendi, it is to have someone who's not like apprehensive to defending, but ultimately it's the possession and reading a game exceptionally well. Like, look at Aroji, for example, like that's one of his biggest strengths. So that's the type of route I think for your starting, midfielder 9 times out of 10 for the season. I think that is what he's looking for, because someone's that good on the ball that even when you can get transition, it can happen, you're still able to cover the ground as a team and with that person to retain possession. Absolutely. My point, like last week, and Fahi, I don't know if you heard it, my point was, it was about the Endo chat, and I was just a bit like, my point was not to hamstring yourself going into the season by selling maybe the only DM you've got, who, if you're having a poor spell in January, just to ride out a few games. You've not been in this league before. And that's not me being arrogant. It's just I've seen so many people come and say, head down, tunnel vision, this is what we're doing. And then you just get in a rut. So that was my point. I just think going forward, though, you can see he's adaptable with the whole system and the structure to help that Grizz if you can't get a DM right now that suits it. And unfortunately, I don't agree with it, but that might be the way going forward. It might be, we'll play the double pivot, we'll protect ourselves, maybe not have our fullbacks bombing on or whatever, and keep us safe like that in transition until we can get that number 6 or whatever you want to say, defensive midfielder in, unless we pull something out the hat before the window closes. I think it's interesting though. I have to revert back to what we said before. I'm surprised. I thought it was going to be, I probably didn't do as much research as I should. I thought this guy was going to be like that kind of stubbornness of, this is how we're going to play. It doesn't mean no adaptability, but very, like in that Brendan Rodgers mode. And that's not even a disrespectful way. There's lots of managers like that where it's like, we're sticking with this for 6 months because this will work eventually. But I feel like he's been very adaptable, and it's very interesting. So it's going to be interesting to talk about the tactics going forward. But on the DM thing, I think the Zubamendi move showed that like me and you have said in the past, Grizz, like if you look at Brighton's defensive midfield or people like Caicedo of that ilk, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it will be either a Zubimendi or someone like that if when they become available. So, and that's cool. Do you know what? You got to respect the guy. It's his principle, and I'm coming more and more around to the idea is this was a good selection.
Basically, you've still got few doubts, like Fahy, that this total football defend by possession is very much like Man City's mantra, Pep's mantra, because apparently we were told that he's more Pep philosophy, school of thought, school of footballing philosophies than opposed to Klopp's. But the key difference is that fucking Rodri. Like Rodri is
he's literally one of the best players in the world, Grizz. Like, so that's how good he is. So
he's the best player in the world. But Gravenberch, what does Gravenberch lack then, guys, to be molded into that, Fahy? Can he be molded into that? Because I tell you what, the rest of his attributes are beautiful to watch. Like he reminds me of a Diaby for Arsenal. Don't know if you guys remember him. His touches.
Yeah.
Even dare I say it, Pogba. I'm telling you, this guy has got the touch, the poise, the control, the passing.
That was the comparison when he was at Ajax. So
the way he broke lines, Fahy, with his passing, simple, might be simple, but it's what Endo doesn't do. Now, I get what Conrad means about Endo does do, but Slot wants people, Slot's more reliant on people that do the Gravenberch things than as opposed to the ones that Endo can't do. But what does he lack, though, for you to really become that midfielder?
Two things. His off-the-ball work leaves a lot to be desired for. I think we saw that a lot last season. That, though, personally, I think can be trained and coached. He's at a young enough age to be coached into knowing what to be doing when to conserve energy. You don't see Rodri running at 100 miles per hour all game. He picks and chooses his battles depending on where the ball is in the area of the pitch, right? And I think Gravenberch needs to learn that. And the second thing is positionally, I've always worried a bit about him when he's not playing as his favoured 8. So those are the two things. But again, both of those things can be coached. They can be worked on. He's a young enough age. He's played professional football for 5-6 seasons now. 4 or 5 at a decent level. 3 of them you'd actually count. So I think this season's going to be key for him. I think if Slot is the great player coach that everyone makes him out to be, he's got a good project on his hands. If he can turn Gravenberch from a 35 million pound midfielder into an 80 million pound midfielder in 2 years, for example, that's his job done. He's done a fantastic job.
I think you're right. You know that I agree with you. The weaknesses that we've mentioned are all about coaching and learning, as opposed to the strengths, which are natural. You either have those talents or you don't. They can't be coached. That touch and skill, I don't think can be coached to the level that he's got. Like, obviously, you can become better at your touch and your control, of course, but he's got this natural touch, this natural ability to turn on a sixpence. And I agree with the weaknesses. I've mentioned it before as well. I think aggressiveness, tenacity, just fire in his belly. I know it's the most British thing to say, but if he has that fire in his belly added to the talent that he's got, and then the coaching of positional play, I think what you're saying, if he's coached into positional play, I think we possibly could. Now, I'm doing what Conrad does. We're not jumping up and down and saying, that's our number 6. That's what we're talking about. We're going to play him in Old Trafford away and he's going to boss it. Man City, Arsenal, this is our number 6. No. Well, I'm saying there is huge potential there. Huge potential in here there, but the goal came from 3 of the stalwarts. The wow. I mean, Trent's pass, Salah's run, touch and run, and then that man Jota. We said, and I tweeted before, about a few weeks ago. For me, if Jota stays fit the rest of the season, for me right now, it's the best signing, better than any signing we could possibly make. It looked poetry in motion. Was it poetry in motion, Conrad?
Yeah, no, it's some goal, especially for a team goal, because it shows you as well. Like the defender probably gets it wrong a half yard, and Trent just catches him straight away.
Waited,
And
didn't he? Trent, the ball, because there was quite a little bit of a. Mo Salah touches it off, because obviously when I watched it back, Salah touches it off, and it's not just an instant straightaway pass.
no,
Trent waits for Salah to get
wait,
on the outside of him. You know, Salah's making that run, because that left back, Leif Davis, we were interested in him a couple of years ago. He's a very good young fullback that a
yeah.
lot of teams look at this season, by the way.
Yeah, and it was interesting watching the comments on that because there was kind of mixed opinions because a lot of people said he had a good game against Salah first half, and then people were saying Salah had the better of him. But I thought it was like he was giving a decent account of himself. But that just shows you could look at that and say that's not even the fullback's fault. It's just he's maybe a slightly tired, a little bit off, and it's just perfect. And the weight on the pass is perfect as well. How often do you see the right pass, but it's just hit too hard? It's just enough kind of backspin or not too much on it that's perfect for Salah. Fair play to Mo as well. I feel like it's like the defender never tries to guess, but because he plays it with his right foot, it's like they don't think he's going to do that. Even though he's actually done that assist quite a few times, he tries to simplify it, passes it across beautifully. And do you know what? It's a great finish as well by Jota. I know he should score, but it's still a great finish. It tops off the goal. If it's an emphatic finish, is the best way. There's a good commentator's word for you, very Jim Beglin there. But it really was a top goal. It was a goal to crown the first goal under Slot in the Premier League. And usually football doesn't work like that, but that really was. Again, let's calm down. But that was a good marker as well to score a goal like that. A win's a win. Who cares? But see if you score like a last-minute own goal, it doesn't quite hit the same. It's when you tear a team apart. A team that in the past we've probably had issues against teams like that who come into the league, we can't quite break them down. That's a beautiful goal. And again, Diogo, man, like I saw something the other day and it did make me laugh. It's like it's a video of R9 in the 1998 World Cup, right? And it says Diogo Jota if he wasn't injured 5 times a season. It's the best thing I've seen. Obviously, we're joking, but it honestly, see for a person who's injured as much as he is, the goal collection from that man is outstanding. And see if you can stay fit, Grizz. There might not be a conversation. I know it's a squad game. I say that all the time, but if it's on form, it's on fitness. He starts for me all the time. That's it.
Fahi, there's way too much normalization of Trent's ability on the ball. I think opposition fans haven't got a clue about what this guy is able to do on the ball. I'm ready to really go overboard. Like, I don't give a shit, man. Like, this guy, and like Grey Top says, 30 minutes in that second half was scary football, impossible to defend. I don't give a shit the opposition. I don't give a shit about the slowness of the pitch, the dryness of the pitch, the heat, everything else. Trent, from right back, took the game by the scruff of the neck. Forget about his defensive frailties and all this bullshit that people come out of Gareth Southgate and all the other pundits. This kid, I don't think there's anyone better than him at striking a ball, passing, long range, short range, breaking the lines, technique-wise. I think he's on KDB's level right now in world football. I don't think I'm trying to think of someone else. Hit me if there is someone else, but he's on KDB levels of what I'm talking about. He was magic for 30 minutes. This guy was magical, bro.
Yeah, no, honestly, like he really turned it up between minutes 50 and 80. It's like he just thought, okay, it's time now. Let me put my batteries in and take the game by the scruff of the neck, and that's exactly what he did. Like some of the chances he created, like the chance I was talking to you about, the Jota misheader from 6 yards out, the whip on that cross, and it's the way he did it. The ball came to him on the right hand side, and he just casually turned the defender by just flipping his body on the ball, went round, and then just whipped it. It was just one whip.
But look at the variety of passes. You're talking about that whip cross.
He's got everything.
That could have easily been Beckham, right? That could have easily been Beckham.
Yeah.
In another instance, he's drilling a pass on the volley. That could easily be Kevin De Bruyne.
To Diaz.
Yeah.
It was unreal. Yeah, honestly, he's got every pass in his locker. I'll be honest, Grizz. I think as Liverpool fans, we're spoiled. Number one, to the point where we've normalised what we see, so we don't shout about it enough because we're just used to it. And deep down, I think rival fans do know how amazing he is. They know it. They do know it. They just don't want to admit it because confirmation bias of they just want to look for the one moment, that bad moment he has, just to be like, "Oh, see, told you." But deep down, everyone knows how amazing he is with the football at his feet. He's genuinely one of the. He brings me some of the most joy when he's on song. When he's on song, he's absolutely fantastic. When have you ever gone to play football and decided, I want to start whipping it about from the right-hand side? Like, Trent has made me want to do that. And he's a right back, which kind of says it all.
Look at the all in world football. Do you remember the iconic fullbacks that we talk about on this level are Carlos, Cafu,
that's Philip Lahm.
But not
to that exciting level.
Level, yeah. Like game changers. That's the word I'm looking for. He's a game changer from fullback, Conroy.
No, the thing is, this is why probably, and we're not going to say like love Klopp, obviously, but a new manager coming in and it has been tasked the impossible job, and there's still conversations on that. But look at it from this point of view. See, with Trent a lot of time, we've had this as well. See, when we're struggling in a match, give the ball to Trent, he'll do something. So give the ball to him, and it'll be, left runners, right runners, just constantly making runs. But a defence can suss that out relatively quite quickly. And you could have the best pass in the world, but if they're doing a low block and there's not really much gaps, you can struggle to break them down. The exciting thing about this team right now, and you saw it especially with Szoboszlai, the way he's playing and he's coming into form as well, it's like the small passes through the centre of the park, you're not relying on Trent. So he can do that, but other players can do that, and you can be a unit and break a team through that way. That's brilliant. But then what happens is, okay, so we're good at playing that way, but also give Trent the ball, right back in his own half, and he can still find the pass. So then teams are not sure to stick or twist to the press. It's hard, man.
This is it.
And as a coach, right, we're all, and I agree with you, mate, Trent, you love watching football, but as a coach, that's a weapon, because then the opposition's not sure what you're going to do. So I think Slot looks at this team and thinks, I'm not going to get too far ahead. I hope I'm right with this. I feel like he sees this as like, I've never had this luxury of players before in my life. So he's just like, he can't believe it because he's seen
right different things. Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's fun because, sorry, go.
No, it was just to say, Grizz, because even like Szoboszlai, look how confident he looks right now. We're not even talking about how good he was. So that was just my point, that sometimes bringing someone in, it can just refresh everything. And instead of, it's the fluidity, it's in the pre-season, even the forwards moving at times, it makes you excited to watch the game. And there's going to be hard spells. There'll be a game where you're 2-0 down 100% and it's not going to be easy. But as Fahy said, and I do try to say this, and Grizz will back me up here, I do try to say you've got to stop normalising what Trent does on the ball. It's not normal. It's a once in, not a generation, probably once in a lifetime at this club. And that doesn't mean Liverpool, he's the best player ever Liverpool, but I'm talking specifically on what he can do with a ball.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see that for a very long time. So utilise it. Don't, push it to our side. 50% of his game's not great, so let's just, put him in his positions where he can get beat. Let's harmonise a way so we can utilise his strengths and reduce his weaknesses. And I feel like Slot will do that. I feel like this guy really... I'm not going to go too far ahead, right? He might do it. Give me a couple of games and then I'll confirm. Okay.
Now it's gone back to he might do it. But now you're right. We've got to utilise that, man. How many times do we say, if he was Spanish, if he was Brazilian, come on, man. He's got that talent that, as we said, many nations would die for a player to have that kind of talent. Niji says a wicked point. He goes, Trent is Pirlo at right back. Honestly, his way of pass and everything else. Second goal, we should have been 3-4-0 up, right? Maybe Fahy, I don't know if that was frustrating for you. It was frustrating me, even though I knew game over. I was adamant game over because we had that kind of control after. That's when we killed them with passing and football. We didn't let them touch the ball in that second half. Obviously, the finishing touch comes from that man. Again, we need to shout it from the rooftops, like, shut up now. Stop talking about Hazards and all these other players and in this guy's category. This guy is in his own category in terms of right wingers in the Premier League. For me, there's absolutely no doubt he's in the Hall of Fame of Premier League footballers, not even attackers, footballers now. Mohamed Salah, Is that the 9th time he scored on the opening day?
It is. It is.
300 goals and assists in 350 games. Talk on this man, bro.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, really and truly, when we signed him, yeah, people were a bit unsure, because of his past. And you're
Yeah.
thinking, all right, 35 mil, what are we really going to get? Fiorentina, who's scoring 1 in 3. Can Klopp turn him into a 1 in 2 midfielder, winger, whatever he's going to be? And then you saw what he did in the first season. You're like, wow. And the thing is, like, we've seen players have these amazing 1 seasons, right? And then slowly they just fall off a cliff. This bloke has not fallen off a cliff yet. And he's consistently scoring 20 plus goals a season, which is unbelievable. But what's more amazing is he's actually become a better player as age has gone on. Now, he may become slower, but he's more intelligent now. He's a much better playmaker now. He can link up play much better now. It's unreal that this guy's got to what? He's 33 now. And it doesn't really seem like he's lost that much ability as a footballer. If anything, he's loaded up the intelligence as a footballer. And now he knows when to make the run. Now he knows when to cross it in. Now he knows when to link up play. And I think that's what's beautiful to watch about Salah. The goals are great, and he's always going to find himself in positions to score goals. But it's everything else he's bringing to the table. And just like Trent between minute 50 and minute 80, Salah again between minute 50 and minute 80, the link-up play between him, Trent, Szoboszlai, unbelievable. It was so beautiful to watch.
I don't know if you want to add anything, Conrad, to this, because Fahey's talk about the playmaking ability. The Trivela pass that he does now, nonchalantly every game. I think he pretty much does it once a game. Suddenly, he just went, boom, and it's just the weight of pass and his work rate was there as well. Like, this is the old man of the team now, right? Let's be real, right? Everyone else is gone. Mane's gone, Firmino's gone, Origi's gone. All of those legendary, iconic figures around him have gone. It's only him, Virgil, and Ali left, right? And Robbo of the old guard. And he's the talisman, he's the icon. My God, man, he's still the main man. That's mad. He's still the main man.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I thought he played well. And there has been times, especially last season, not that it was poor last season, but it's maybe a good time for a change in the background staff as well, change his structure and the formation, because I feel like it might simplify his game a bit more. What I mean by that is to not say, like, run. He doesn't really run into blind alleys anymore, but like Fai said, his intelligence has improved in the game. It seems to be getting better, but I feel like he's at a not his prime, but he's probably at a really good moment right now where he sees the full part. Mature.
Yeah, mature footballing wise, footballing IQ wise, is maturest.
Yeah. Not overdoing it, because he has done it in the past. Like, as it's a great seasons, but he seems to be more clear and calculated in his thinking. I feel like even the assist, you see that. And I thought the full game he felt like that. It seems to be a bit rejuvenated is the wrong word, because he's been amazing. But do you get what I'm saying? He just seems. I think it's a good time for a new manager as well, because
I actually think he knows that he can't do that, and I think that's a sign of, people call him arrogant, and people call him, he's got ego issues, he wants to score all the time. And you're right, there are phases where he's got head down, tried to work the angle until he gets a shot off. He's realized maybe he's not that guy, and I think that's humble. I think that's being humble enough to admit he's not that guy, and his game's evolved into increased in many other aspects. Now he thinks he can stop people. Now his movement off the ball, his movement off the ball has been underrated, I think, anyway, for years. But now people are seeing how intelligent of a man of footballer he is as well.
And his running looked quite good. He looked sharp. Not that he hasn't been sharp, but there has been performances maybe in the past where he felt like he was feeling his age. I thought he looked very, very sharp on Saturday. Looked good. Even the first goal, it's a great run. I'm looking forward to seeing Salah under a new system as well, new style. And the thing about Salah, it's one of his biggest strengths as well, as I've said, scoring goals that aren't really like that goal. It's not a beautiful goal, but that's literally football a lot of the time. Like, it isn't fairy tale goals. It's like not scrappy, but the defender gets there, he's in the right position, just tucks it under the keeper. But that's why he scored so many goals, because football, not every goal can be a 30-yard screamer. He's just so good, as Fahy said earlier, at getting into positions where you can hurt teams. And again, that comes from Szoboszlai being involved as well. So with other players becoming more sharper in a better form, does that allow Salah to get more space? Because it's a bit like what we were saying earlier. If you go with Salah, if you man mark him, you're leaving space. Is Szoboszlai there? Is Jota or even Diaz at the other side? So there's so many options. It's great to think about going forward, guys. It's a really good moment right now for the club. I've got to be honest. I'm still apprehensive, but Fahy's managed to convince me otherwise in the hour to be saying give Arne Slot a 10-year contract. But I'm trying to be calm here.
This is the maddest thing. Normally, Fahy's the one.
There you go.
Normally, Fahy's the one who's playing the villain in the chat. So today he's being this is mad. Like normally I'm the positive one, and Conroy's like saying, "Oh, I don't know, man." So this is like a bit of a weird imbalance going on here. But
we needed a change. Arne Slot has brought in change.
We take it. We're going to end with a bit of Joe Gomez chat. Fahy, 10 years at the club.
This is the 10th season, yeah.
We discussed him a couple of times last season. It looks like coming to the end of Joe Gomez and Liverpool story. Deserves to absolutely have the choice and freedom of what he wants to do. If he wants to move, we should make it as easy as possible for him. Or should we just make sure we get the highest fee? If not, you stick it out, mate. How are you seeing the situation now?
No, I think ultimately, obviously, we want to be compensated correctly based off the market value of him, right? And what other defenders are going for. And if you've got a Mark Gahey potentially going for £65 million plus, don't want to be selling.
That is gross.
Right. So you don't want to be selling Gomez for 30 mil, for example. We want a respectable fee, but ultimately he has been here 9+ seasons. He joined us when he was 17. He's been a loyal, dedicated servant to the club. He doesn't have a place in the squad, if I'm being honest. Being a utility player does not mean you have a place in the squad. No one can tell me right now where he actually plays. No, I don't think Slot can confidently tell him that you're third or fourth choice centre back or your second choice left back. No one really knows. So for that reason, I think it's absolutely fair to, if he can get the right move, let him move as long as we're compensated fairly. Good luck to him. He deserves it. He spent a good time here. Achieved everything with us. Been through heartache. Been through loads of bad moments, but plenty of good moments. He's built up a load of experience to take him on to the final stretch of his career, and I just hope he goes for the right move. And I'm really happy that there are a number of clubs interested in him, and I just hope that he goes for the right one for his career.
He's 28, man. That's mad.
No,
he's still 28. Conroy, Joe Gomez, thoughts on the situation? Are you happy to let him go, or would you insist? Listen, because guys, by the way, he played 51 times last season. Is he going to play 51 times at any other club right now? Should he stick around? I know he's saying, I disagree. I think he's definitely got a place in the squad. I just don't see him, obviously, first choice in any of the positions. That's the problem.
Yeah. Where is he second choice?
Left back.
Really?
Personally.
So that one could be 50-50 because Tsimikas has had good pre-seasons before, so let's not go overboard. Sometimes he looks like a world beater. Like, seriously, he looks like the best left back in the world at times, and then the next game happens, right? So I've been down this road as well. However, Robbo got injured last season, then Tsimikas came in, wasn't great, but also did get a little injury in between it as well. So Joe Gomez, fair play, took advantage of that. Does that happen again? I get what you're saying, Grizz, but it's a hard one. With the way we're ran right now as well, we probably want to get some money in, and they'll probably look at this as a one that you can maybe get.
We don't need any money. We've got loads of money. I know what you mean.
I mean, at this moment in time, like if you're going to get the most for him, it's probably right now.
Yeah.
But it's a hard one. With Tsimikas having a good pre-season, that probably has not helped as well. Where do you think he goes, guys? Though, like, because this is where you're kind of at. He's won every trophy, so now does he just want to play regular first-team football? I can understand that because trophies are maybe not a priority anymore. He's done that. He's achieved that. It's more just going to like have a successful career.
I tell you a bit of intel and insight. So Fulham and Villa. So I tweeted last week. I've got them. Okay, basically there's 7 Premier League teams after him. Fulham and Villa have been given permission to speak to him because we have agreed a fee. Chelsea are in for him, but didn't make enough of a bid. But we anticipate them coming back in. Obviously, the Newcastle story is lurking. Again, I did say that Newcastle were very close to agreeing, and Liverpool. Let's not leave Liverpool out of this story. Liverpool and Newcastle were very close to agreeing Gomez and Gordon, not swap direct, but a player plus cash deal type scenario. And that is still, I think, unfinished.
On the horizon.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfinished. Fulham and Villa have been given permission. Crystal Palace are interested. I can't remember the other 4 or 5 teams. I think I will remember. Brentford, West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Villa, Chelsea.
Bayern Munich?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Bayern Munich. But these are teams that I know definitely. I definitely think he wants to stay in the Premier League. And I definitely think he probably favors a London team. Probably. But I think the direct answer to your question, we said, I think Villa, guys. I think Villa,
Villa's a good move. Champions League football as well.
What do you think? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a great move.
Chelsea, I'd hate it. And the guy, the human, the professional that we know of, Joe Gomez, he won't go to Chelsea. Please, this doesn't.
I don't know, bro. I don't know because it's closer to home. It's closer to home. So let's hope he doesn't do it. Let's hope he picks the Villa or a Newcastle move and he doesn't go to Chelsea of all the clubs. Or let's hope he goes to a club where we could potentially do some wheeling and dealing. Whoever those clubs are.
So the suggestion is Wolves are looking for a centre-back. Now, the suggestion is we are looking for an upgrade on Tsimikas and a potential, what's the word? Not predecessor. The opposite of predecessor.
Replacement.
Long-term replacement for Robertson.
Yeah.
There's a Nuri there who they wanted ridiculous money for. We're willing to pay 15-20 million for him, cheap, but they wanted 50 million. Well, if you want Gomez, you know what I mean? Let's talk now. That's a potential move for him. I don't know if Wolves is a good move for Joe Gomez though, because relegation.
What about Fulham? What about Anthony Robinson then? Fulham, Anthony Robinson, because to me that makes more sense. Because why would you get a Nuri, who's going to be a more technical side of slot system, when you've literally got Trent doing it on the other side? I get you want options, so fair enough. But I don't know if you guys agree. I think Anthony Robinson would be an ideal replacement.
Great up, no to Bayern. And no to Kimmich now. Like, I love Kimmich, but we've been burnt with Thiago, right? In terms of that age group. You know what I mean? We're not going to go down.
There's reasons why you don't do that. Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. Fahy, man, you lost it, man. You're supposed to be my word.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're tired. You got
Wordsmith Fahy.
Yeah. He's got a little bone broken in his foot and it's affecting his brain. But it is. Yeah, Joe Gomez, man. What a bloke, man. He deserves it, man. I think, guys, I from what I'm hearing, and obviously it could be absolute codswallop, but we're not going to get the fee that we're looking, man. I think we're settling on 35 million, man. I'm against it. I agree. I disagree. I would minimum want 40, but I think we're happy to let him go for that. From what I understand,
it still looks really good on the books. Ultimately, we signed him for 6-7 mil, right? So
we want more, though, man. We want more, man. Like,
yeah, I know.
He's going for 65 million.
Grizz ain't an accountant. He doesn't care.
No, but come on, man. If the likes of who else, man? We've seen. How much did Kilman go for West Ham?
Yeah, that was mad.
40 mil. That was like 40 mil.
Are we
even like Unana to Aston Villa was £50 million. Now he's a good player, but the market is a bit crazy. So I get what you're saying, Grizz.
Gomez is. I get the injuries. I don't know.
I would hope we can make use of him in a deal for Gordon again, or something, or someone. If that's the case, if what you're saying is true in the sense of we're not getting 40 mil, 45 mil, which is what we're wanting, then we just need to try and make use of him in a type of swap deal and make it look like a much better deal than it actually is.
100%. I agree with you, 100%. Unless we're using that cash to top off one of our A-grade targets.
Brother, I'll be real. At this point, at this point, I'm not falling for this trick anymore. Right?
Yeah.
This has been going on for long enough. Yeah. I don't know how much more money we want to save.
Too many times.
It's actually disgusting at this point. So yeah.
Well, that's another story for another show, and that's another agenda for another show. We could go into that because we could be, guys, and I said this tongue in cheek, but it got such backlash. And guys, I said it as a joke. We could be ending in profit.
No, we will. We will. We're making 150 million minimum. I'm certain of it. I've calculated 150 mil.
In a new coach, like, look, I don't want to turn toxic, man, but in a new manager taking over an absolute iconic legend, right, in his first window, we're going to actually turn over a profit in terms of giving him the best possible chance to be a success. How does that make sense? I don't know. But as I said, that's another agenda. The whole we could go on. It was supposed to go on for 45 minutes. It's gone out 1 hour, 12 minutes. But that's what happens when you talk about Liverpool, when you talk about football, when you get two great brothers to talk about in terms of Conroy and Fahy. We could have spoken forever and ever. Chat been amazing. 300 of you guys in here. I guarantee you there's not even 150 likes because you're waste men, all of you, and waste women. Just because I didn't beg for likes, you didn't even have the what's the word? The generosity to give us a like without me begging for it. But it is what it is. I'll let you off today because it's Monday night. Thank you for joining us, Fahy. Make sure you go and check out Cop and Frack doing great things in the podcast industry. Make sure you go and check out the guys. Conroy will be back. Conroy's back from his holidays from sunny England. He's back to cold and wet and windy Scotland. So what's up? Yo, what's good? Sends in a super chat just before we go. He says Robinson don't make sense either if you don't want Aït because they both essentially are fullbacks who bomb forward. Aït would be better for slot considering how much emphasis he puts on. What's BU? Anyone know what BU stands for?
I imagine he means ball utilization. Is that maybe too much now? No, it can't be that. Can't be that. I don't know.
What could it be then? A bit of trivia before we go. What could it be? BU. Build up.
There we go. Well done.
No, I do understand that, by the way. I do think Aït Nouri is a very, very good player. Do not get me wrong. It's just, I think as well, he doesn't mind having at certain moments fullbacks bombing up from one side. Like he's not against that.
Sucker. Apparently he had a great game on the weekend.
Guys, I think he's good. If you're talking like 60 million, well, that's crazy money.
Why are you telling us about Spurs as if anyone cares about Spurs? Like, Ali, shut up. Shut up, Ali. We don't want to care about Spurs. We're talking about Liverpool and Gomez and all of this business. I will deal with Toby. Don't worry. Big Six is happening. I'll deal with Toby in good time. Don't worry about Spurs, man. But listen, guys, thank you. Smash a like on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. The road of 50K is on tomorrow. I am so excited. I have got a very special show. Something close to my heart, actually. Some of my podcasting heroes on with me tomorrow. I don't want to give too much away, but tomorrow, guys, at 7 p.m. on this channel, get your notifications on. I think I have a stellar panel, a stellar show lined up. But today, I had a stellar panel, and today I had a stellar show lined up as well. So peace out. Like on your way out. Make sure you follow the guys if you haven't already. Let me look for the outro and peace out. Take care.